Mr. Ken, how do you think everything's going leading up to the election next Tuesday?
Oh, Patrick, I think it's great, and thank you for getting together today. It's so good to be back with you after I guess it's been 7 or 8 weeks now since this first got started, and man, have things changed. So, and we're riding by now the park at Liberty Street. This is something I've really talked about. I mean, there are those tennis courts that have not been resurfaced in 20 years, and that's something I desperately want to see change for our city. But what's been most interesting to me is just the incredible number of people that have stepped forward and are speaking out. And it's something I've never seen or experienced before in this community. People are really determined that we get change once and for all.
Right, man. I noticed last night. Someone sent me the interview with Brooks Brown, and I don't get a chance to watch too much, but I did get a chance to sit down and watch Mr. Brooks Brown's interview, and man, I love that interview because it's like people that are in District 1 usually speak out, but just to hear somebody from the other side's perspective, man, that really lets you know that you have a lot of people that are noticing and that are really fed up with the way things are going in this city right now.
Oh, yeah. And isn't he great?
Oh,
so
yes.
Here we are at the other park I've been talking about, the one on Depot Street. It's just so overgrown. It's got a fountain out in the middle that hasn't been addressed in years. That could be a spectacular park, and that one is only 2 blocks from the one at Liberty. I want to get these connected, but yeah, Brooks Brown is one of the great citizens of Washington. He's been here so long. He's seen so much. He's just a sort of a wellspring of wisdom for us, and it's been a huge benefit to me to have him as a neighbor all these years.
Right. And it just seemed like it. You have people like me and Archie Akery and Nathaniel Cullors and other people that are always speaking out, and people look forward to us to be vocal. But when you see somebody like Mr. Brown speak up, you know that something really has to be done for the city.
Oh, and to your credit, I think y'all inspired him. It was the things that y'all were doing, the sort of the comments and conversations you were having, the dialogue you were sharing. I think it absolutely motivated him to get out here. And I can't think of a better thing than what you started, what Archie has followed with, what Councilman Cullors and others in the city have been doing. They are giving voice to a lot of the struggle and pain and conflict and problem. And look, I mean, you can't fix stuff like that if you don't start talking about it.
Right. I'll tell you what, I've had a lot of people call me and text me and reach out to me via social media, and they tell me, hey, I met Ken today. Ken came by the house today. And so for the people that didn't know you, I'm sure you've probably turned over every rock and hit every street in this city. And if the places you haven't been, I'm sure you'll go before next week. But you really have been getting out and meeting the people.
Well, and that's been one of the greatest things. I mean, it has been so wonderful to visit with people again and to get to know them better and just to hear their ideas, their thoughts, their hopes for this city. I mean, it's incredible really what's going on here now. This is, another one of our parks that needs so much attention and so much work. And I've probably had this pool conversation 400 times. People that are upset with, first of all, what a debacle the project was and how much was spent and how much money overrun there was in building the pool, how small the pool is for what was paid for it, and the fact that the pool doesn't open. And I'm just telling you, it's not hard to get lifeguards to work. It's not hard to really get swimming pools to operate. And if I'm mayor, this pool will be open next summer. And also, I know there's plans on the board right now for splash pads to be added here. And we've got other parks on the other side of town where we could and should add the same type of facilities, pools and splash pads.
Yeah, that would be great. I know a lot of people were disappointed that the pool didn't open this summer. And we always say that we need something to do around here, especially for our youth. And that's one thing I think it was maybe had to keep bringing that up. Mr. Brown's interview, he was saying, you know, like a lot of people really don't want to see change in this city, and like they're afraid that you are a candidate that will most definitely bring change to this city.
Well, and you know, it's a good conversation to have. I think probably because we're so close to Atlanta and because so many people have seen that in their lifetime, there is a fear that we don't want Atlanta coming here. But we're so different. Change and growth in this community does not mean anything like change and growth in Atlanta. We're never going to have anything like that. And so I think we've part of the conversation and part of the dialogue is to get started on defining what change is. And nobody's done that yet. The change that I see and want for this community, and the change that I've heard so many people say they want, is good, and it's healthy, and it's helpful to the community, and it's something we really need to get started on, because people are hurting. People are suffering economically. People have so much need and need for work, need for places that they can get out in the community, just like some of the parks we've seen, safe places for children to play. These are true needs that don't mean we're going to turn into another Atlanta.
Mr. Ken, also, man, one thing I like about you, man, I know a couple weeks ago there were a lot of negative stuff coming out, and you've always took the high road. There have been chances I'm sure you could have went low, but you stayed high, and it really says a lot about your character.
Well, I appreciate that, Patrick, and you're kind to say that, but truthfully, I sort of only know one road, and it's the road I've been on. There's so much great to talk about and so many great things to think about and plan for this community. I just haven't got time to be bothered with, you know, trying to dig into somebody's personal past and figure out if there's something there. So now here we are. We're going to pull into the Gordon Street property, which has got, 3 tennis courts here that are also in sort of a state of disrepair. It looks like they've lined them off now, and finally, it looks like we've got our first pickleball courts. This must be brand new. So they've been lined off for pickleball, and it looks like they've been swept clean, but still they're overgrown. They need to be resurfaced. And then we've got this incredible track over here that's just sort of lying fallow. So I'm glad to see that we've got the pickleball nets up, but there's so much more that needs to be done to this park. There aren't lights here. The parking lot that we're in, you can see, is sort of overgrown and got trash in it. So another example of a great asset to this city that we're just not utilizing, and it's something that people need. And this is what we need to figure out with our budget process and all of our money. You know, the interesting thing over the last 8 weeks is I have been trying to get from the city administrator the information about the budget for this year, 2023, revenues and expenditures to date, and then also the projected budget for 2024. And I cannot get any information about that.
Well, who's responsible for getting you that information? Like, who do you ask for, and who should be responsible to get you that information?
Well, I sent the request to the city clerk because that is the person who is supposed to have and disseminate that kind of information to citizens like me who would ask for it. And those emails and contacts were forwarded to the city manager. And he responded, but then I never got any information.
So the last time I interviewed you, Mr. Ken, the last time we were together, you was telling me about that it was something you was trying to get and you couldn't get it. Is this the same piece of paperwork?
Yeah, so the information I got...
And that's been at least a month ago.
Oh, it's been 2 months. And the information I did get was sort of a really, really, really horrible version of what somebody called a budget. It wasn't a budget. It was sort of a summary. It was just a list of accounts and balances and accounts. It was not. It wasn't a financial statement. It had really no recognition of what a budget should look like. And since that time, I've gotten nothing. So my request, my attempts to get information have all been sitting out there and still nothing. Now,
and you live in District 2, right?
I live in District 2.
Well, have you tried to reach out to your council members that represent your district? Do you think they will have a copy?
I haven't heard from them, so I don't know. But here's the great and interesting thing. Just this week, Councilman Mahoney and Councilman Cullors reached out to me with budget information that they've gotten in the process with the city of looking at the budget for next year.
District 1 councilman.
District 1 councilman. And they offered to get together and share that with me. And so we've been able to meet, and they have shown me documents from the budget. And it was an incredible, enlightening moment about the projections for next year. Two things came out of that meeting that I think are really, really important. The first one is we can work together. There's no question in my mind that we can get things done and work together without fighting. They demonstrated that this week by reaching out to me, and I think we had great conversation and a great session together talking about the budget. The second thing is the budget absolutely, just the projections for next year, absolutely demonstrated and verified what I've been saying for 8 weeks, and that is if people will vote for me and elect me mayor, the utility bills can go down. Our budget can be shifted. We can take care of things like our parks. We can take care of putting peace officers back on our street. We can start an incubator where we can attract and nurture and keep small businesses in this community that can create jobs for us, because we're not able to attract large industry right now. So those two things came out of that meeting, and it's just incredibly exciting to know that even more certainty that we can get these things done. If you'll vote for me in the next week and elect me mayor, I promise you we will get these things done. Now here we are on the other side of the community, and passing the park on Ashley, and then we've got these 3 great baseball. I'll pull in here and we'll take a look at these. We've got these 3 great baseball fields that just sit again empty, and I mean these are even better from the standpoint of they've all got lights in place, but they're just sort of unused, overrun. We're not taking advantage of this. I'm not understanding why one of these couldn't be turned into a soccer field, one a football field, one a baseball field, make them available to our community so that people can take advantage of them. We could turn part of this area into walking facilities. If you sort of look over this direction, how overgrown things are, it doesn't feel safe and secure. And so I understand why people don't come out to this park as they otherwise might. The benches are run down, the playground equipment down on that end is sort of old, and it's not something kids would want to come play on. We can change these things. This stuff can be fixed. That I know. So what about you, Patrick? What are you hearing? What do you think?
Well, honestly, Mr. Ken, I can say you've gained a lot of momentum over the last few weeks, whereas people didn't realize you really were from Washington. I mean, after 25 years, I don't know how many years it takes you to be from Washington, but I think people are really realizing that you have been a resident of Washington, and people realize, I'm hearing that not only are you just professing to have a plan, that you're really letting the people know what your plan is. A lot of people say that they have a plan, but you never know what the plan is. But you have a lot of great ideas that not only help make the city grow, but also to make the citizens in this city grow as well. And like I said, you have been out knocking on doors, being visible in the community, not just here and there. You've been in the streets literally every day for the last several weeks.
That's correct. And as I said, what an incredible season it has been. I've really enjoyed reconnecting with so many people and meeting. There's a lot of new people that have moved to this community. For example, I was in this area just last week, and I probably met 5 new people that have come into the community and are living, have got their homes here. It's an amazing time for the city of Washington, but it's also a time where we've got a lot we've got to get done to help not only our residents who have been here, but the new people that are here and attract new people. We've been losing population rather than growing, and that's something not only we have to stop it, but we need to reduce that. We're down 400 people in our population in the last 5 years, and that's a scary trend, Patrick, a really scary trend. We've got to stop that.
And if we lose people, we lose voters too.
We lose voters, we lose tax revenue, we just lose momentum in our economy. Now, we're here over on the other side of town, and this may be one of the other major topics and conversations I've had with so many people. Probably number one on everybody's list is utilities. There's no question on that. Second on their list would be that just the healing of the city. That people want the city of Washington to heal. They want people to get along. They want the council to work together rather than fight. But then the third thing is people want more things to do, more places to go. A grocery store. I have heard from hundreds of people that everyone believes we need another grocery store. We have a great grocery stores in Ingalls, and we have the IGA, but we don't have enough variety and we don't have enough selection. And quite frankly, if we have other grocery stores, it helps create competition, and competition keeps our pricing down. And everyone is struggling right now with food prices. So we need all the competition we can get in that. And with the incubator and an ability to hopefully encourage and nurture small business, I'd like to see more local shops and stores run by our residents that open, and people be able to go there. The great thing about what I've been talking about in lowering utility rates and getting these small businesses is those two sort of feed off of each other. So if people have more money in their pocket to spend, and we can get businesses to start here and people spend that money in the community, then the community's economy can start to turn. And when it starts to turn, it heads us in the right direction instead of where we are now, which is, sort of in a flat spin or even in a decline.
Well, we're only about 8 days away, Mr. Ken. So any last thing you would like to say to the city of Washington?
Well, of course, vote. This is really a historic opportunity, and the opportunity will be realized if people will go and vote. Traditionally we have somewhere in the neighborhood 25 to 28% of the voters who turn out for the local municipal elections. But then when we have a general election and we vote for a president or a governor or U.S. senators, we often have 40 to 42%. That difference between the sort of 30 and 40 of a general versus a municipal election will make the difference this time. And if those 10% that normally vote in the general will also get out in this municipal this week, it'll change this city. Just in general, I can't thank you enough and the others who have sort of been part of the process and contributed and sort of furthered the dialogue. I think Washington has forever changed, even before the vote next week. So many people, as I said, are speaking out, and once that genie's out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. And that, to me, is a phenomenally exciting thing for this city. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for the other people you've worked with and your collaboration. And I'm just excited about what change we might be able to see in the coming days and months ahead.
Well, this is the beautiful city of Washington, Georgia, that hopefully you can become the mayor of, and it will become an even greater place to live.
Well, I'm really excited, Patrick, and I do hope the people will give me the opportunity to do that. I hope they'll use their vote to make that opportunity happen. And I know if we've changed this much in 8 weeks, just in the process of the election, in 4 years of working together for the city.